Alright, so, hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm recording for Gavin real quick. So, Gavin, what you're gonna want to do is, this is a tutorial how you use custom turrets. So, first off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of like this person on the top left dark corner saying, "Hey, I'm the good dot bot." Press F1, blah blah blah, get it out of here. What we can do is, I believe in options, game, you can delete show hints, then show control hints. That's up to you, but either way, press OK on that, and he should be gone. There's nowhere on the screen. Alright, so to use a custom turret controller, just to start off, we're going to delete our inventory and we're going to use light armor blocks. We need a battery to power any equipment found in our grids, and of course the custom turret controller. It's called the custom turret controller, not the custom grid controller. And then we're going to need two things, which is going to be that's going to be found under the item, which is the rotor. The rotor will allow us to turn the turret left and right, and if we place one on top of it, we can do up and down. To see what we're shooting at, we're going to use a camera. And because I want something that fires pretty quickly, I'm going to use an autocannon. This can only be found on a small grid. As you can see, it says NA when it's on the big grid, so you have to put it on the small and it'll tell you how many components you need. That's if you're going into survival mode. But for right now, with this cannon that I'm using, this is going to basically deduce what type of grid I'm going to use, small or big. With a small grid, you can't directly put it to the ground like big. So if I press 1 real quick, you see how like this is a small brick or small grid block. If I press 1 again, big grid, press 1 again, small grid. You can see the sizing. So when I try to put a large grid block in the ground, it is now considered a station, meaning I can't budge it, it's part of the ground. But if I try nudging this guy, see if it works. Either way, if I had like a rover or something, this would budge, this would budge. Oh, that definitely budges. But this guy will not budge no matter what. So, first thing we're going to do when we start building is do a small landing gear. If whatever we're trying to build is too far out, bring closer, put it on the ground like that. The landing gear is the only thing that doesn't need power to run when you first put it on the ground. And this is what we're first going to start with. We're going to build a small little, what should we call it? Well, I need to turn down like the audio. Sounds like it's like slamming my eardrum. A little bit better. Alright. So, first thing we want to do, build out a little frame. What we can do, use mirror mode, press M once, which will do the left and right side mirror. If we press M again, we can do up and down. Press M again, we get front to back. Just different mirror options that you don't need to know about unless you want to use them. But my favorite is just using the left to right for ships. So we can actually use this, we have to press N. If we don't see the red, then we have to press N again. When we first set our mirror line, let me get rid of it one more time. If I get rid of my mirror line and I press N and I never see what I'm looking for, as you can see in the middle of my screen, or middle bottom, then I don't have my mirror line. But if I press M and then left click, and you see how it went from, was it semi-opaque to less opaque? That means that you have selected what line you want for your mirroring. After that, you need to press N to close it and then open it back up. It's kind of a reset. You can do blocks one at a time, yes, of course, but what I like doing is holding control first, holding click, and then dragging out. That allows me to just do that. But each time I do this, I have to hold down control again and that. Because if I don't do that, say I let go of left click and go back to do it again, now I'm just like flipping the block with my WSD keys. I can't run around. Either way. So now with the little platform that we have, which we're going to make it a little bit wider, if you press shift after pressing control, it builds kind of a sheet instead. Shift equals sheet, you know. So, first thing we want to do, put a battery. We're going to put this out of the way. Maybe underneath the grid? No, we have to put it on the side of the grid. Batteries in creative mode will automatically fill to the highest percentage they will allow. And now we're going to start building our custom turret. So at this point, I'm going to turn off mirroring because I don't want two rotors at the same time. I want just one right here. What this does is spawn a rotor cap, which is what the grid on top will connect to. So this is our main grid, and whatever we place on a rotor is considered a subgrid or a child of our main. So whatever physics we apply to here will not be applied to the one on the bottom, and vice versa with like controls and all that, but we'll get to that in a second. So now that I have like a small grid or a subgrid, what I want to do now is tower up twice and then put a rotor on top. You know how to use control and a S key or whatever to move it down, and we can put another subgrid. This puts our main grid, first subgrid, second subgrid. And now we put a camera. You can tell which way the camera faces up and down because it has a big old camera on top, and you'll see the light on the bottom left. Bottom left is good. So we put that. We're basically set to go, and we're gonna use X for our jetpack. Put one cannon right off to the side, just so we have like an idea of what we're going to be shooting at. So, before we have something we're going to shoot at, we are going to do heavy blocks. If it tells you heavy armor blocks give structure and shape to shapes and durable but heavy. So, that's all you need to know with those. If I come over here, as you can see, I want to go make a small grid. So what I have to do here, how I'm rotating stuff like this is if you have a 70% keyboard or more, meaning you have the delete, end, page down, page up, home, and insert buttons, that's a 70% keyboard, I believe, you can rotate shit like this. I, of course, don't want to press any other buttons because it's going to rotate things in unnatural ways that I don't want as of right now. But this allows me to build a tiny little target, do the mirror mode, and then hold control left click, and I'll bring it out. Basically built that. Just perfect. You can press P to paint. I'm going to paint a big old cross on it, for I know what I'm trying to shoot at. Perfect. And we have some, how do I say, I don't know. Just red on the back so we can see if anything got through. Then we can see anything, or we can actually aim at this. I don't think this is required, but I put a beacon on whatever I'm trying to aim at before I know it's actually there. Then put the battery about center mass so we can still power that. Of course, we can't naturally access the beacon right now, so we need to go grab a control panel. What a control panel just allows you to do is, if it's on here, you right click on it. Oh, never mind, hold on. Right click on it. It allows you to see everything within here. The landing gear with all its, all its information, settings, all that. The control panel itself, we call this control panel. Doesn't really matter, this thing's gonna get blown up. And then beacon, we can rename what the beacon is. Like we're gonna say this is the target. And we can set the broadcasting range to something like, we don't need anything more than like 1,000 meters, but we're gonna put kind of like 5K, because why not? See the battery, that, and whatever. Alright, you have copy and paste, Control C, which grabs you a copy. I'm going to move this over here just for shits and giggles, before we have just a copy off to the side. So we're going to shoot this. And we're going back to the turret. So now what we can do, now that we have our two rotors, we have to do our turret controller. And just before we can actually use the turret controller later on, we're going to do cockpit. This allows us to actually step into the small grid and control things found on the small grid, like this. And it also acts as, if you press I, it acts as a control panel. So we have our autocannon. We can rename it to like main gun, doesn't really matter. We have our two batteries which are powering the whole thing. We have our camera. We can call this the auto gun camera. And what we really want to label here, which I won't just to show you how it can get confusing, is the two rotors. The type of coloring that you see tells you which grid it's on. So when something is grayed out like this, it tells you it's on the main grid. But if it's orange, it's on the first subgrid. And any other color, it goes down that list. So let's say let's add something that can be a subgrid that, what should we call it? Something that would be, let's call it advanced. Rotor. Advanced rotor. This is what we're looking for. You can press Control 2 to bring up a new search bar on the bottom, or building bar. So we put the advanced. The only thing that happens with advanced, it allows for conveyor input, which is helpful in survival, which I'll teach you later. And we're going to basically build 3 up, maybe 4, just to have something. So now when we jump into our control panel, press I, you can see how our first advanced rotor is, how do you say, gray, the second one's orange, or reddish orange, green, and then very much green. So what this basically shows you is the order of the subgrids. Something that you'll learn over time, but something to know right now. So why this is important, if we now use the custom turret controller, which I'm going to name Bob CTC, Bob's custom turret controller. We need to assign an azimuth and an elevation rotor as well as a camera. Our auto gun camera, I can't speak, works just fine for this. Now if we press G and we say we want to take control of Bob, you scroll down through the settings, say we want to control Bob. So when we press 1, it puts us into the camera, but I'm frantically shaking my mouse all over the place. It's not working because we haven't identified those 2 rotors we want to use for azimuth, left and right, and elevation, up and down. So what we have to do is we have to go into control panel, back to Bob, and define them here. But you'll probably see we run into a problem. The same coloring we have for these 2 rotors isn't available inside Bob's registrar, whatever you want to call this, his control panel. We can't actually see which rotor is which. So that's why naming these, the first rotor that's not colored, we're going to call this azimuth. Azimuth, something like that. Probably spelling it wrong. Smelling it wrong. Azimuth. Azimuth. Something like that. Azimuth. Man, if my memory was great, that'd be awesome. Alright, that. Then elevation. Elevation. Alright, now that we've labeled our 2 controllers, or rotors for a controller, we can go back into our CTC and mess with it. With the first one being our azimuth. It's labeled azimuth, so we just have to say that. The next one, our elevation. Just like that. So, and now we have to put what tools or weapons we want to use when we use the custom turret controller. The reason being is if we don't assign a gun like our main gun, when we press left click, it won't fire anything. Just to show you that, we're going to remove it. We already pressed G and drag whatever we wanted down with Bob CTC. And we did all this already. It's right here. So if we press escape, and press 1, we can now move Bob around. We can, we can aim. We can right click to lock onto shit. The whole 9 yards. But the problem is, when I left click, nothing happens because Bob doesn't know what he's firing. So press F to exit, I to enter the control panel again, or inventory, then control panel. And we want to go back to Bob, and we want to define what we're going to shoot, which we're going to shoot our main gun. So we're going to add that, and once it's added, we're doing just fine. So now, if we go back into Bob, and we zoom into what we want to shoot, and we left click, Bob shoots. as you can see, he kind of shoots off to the side. The reason being, like, the camera, if we remember, is mounted closer to the center of rotation than our main gun. So Bob's a little bit oblong, but how we can solve that is we can, I would say, put our main gun on top of Bob, which instead of having a bias to the left or right, puts a bias to up and down, which is easier for, how do you say, error correction, considering that we're going to call this Bob's Hog, Hand of God, you know? It's easier to correct for a bullet drop than it is for azimuth correction, if you will, because we're used to things falling down to earth rather than falling to the side or stuff like that. You know what I mean. So we grab Bob's Hog, you know, as we do, and we press 1, and now when we shoot, pretty much lands on center. So we keep firing. We went right through the target. The power of heavy armor has been foiled. Right through, destroyed the beacon, battery's still intact. If we put another beacon, just put one beacon right there. Just for a little shits and giggles. Let's keep going. We should be able to see the time when the beacon no longer shows. If the battery is damaged in any way, then the beacon will shut off. As you can see, the electronic sparks in the background. If we go over there, the battery has been damaged. I think the beacon might be damaged too. If we grab a welder or anything of the sorts like a grinder, we should be able to deduce it. The beacon's fine, and the battery is a little bit below functional. So, we go back, make it functional, the beacon will light up again. But this tutorial, if you will, is just to show you how you can use the gun for various purposes. Like, let's say I just want to add 2 guns instead. It's pretty simple. This is how I'm able to put it on a car very quickly, and you're still in the Stone Ages. So put 2 guns on top, control panel, go to Bob, and then it'll always be labeled as the 2 guns. Put those on, press 1, and now I have more firepower, and you're left in the dust. Pretty cool. And if we go over here, same thing. Rip through them. Come on. There we go. Just like that. A simple auto turret for your home needs. Home remedy, if you will, from Matthew Towell. Alright, enjoy. See ya.